Brendan Ross is joining us from Los Angeles. He's the CEO of PrimeSport, and we're talking about hospitality. Big night for you guys tonight, isn't it?
You know, the BCS game, and this game in particular, is probably one of the biggest college football games of the decade. Texas and Alabama, it's a tremendous matchup.
Brendan, how has it been for corporate hospitality and sporting events here over the last year? And I'll say particularly because we know that banks have gotten hammered over the last year, spending any money, all these TARP banks. Has that carried forward into 2010, or have things started to rebound?
Yeah, corporate hospitality actually held its own reasonably well and has been rebounding pretty strongly. The thing about relationships during a recession is that they really become all important, and what we do is build and cement relationships. So when people get together at a party for 3 or 4 hours and then go to a big football game, that's just a tremendous experience for them, and that experience really is something that clients and our customers just continue to value.
Have you had to slash prices at all, or work with people, package deals, things like that, in order to continue to have, these events going?
You know, the interesting thing about this BCS game is that prices are actually up about 14% over last year. To some extent, it depends on the matchup. And prices for the hospitality experience itself are holding steady. $275 to $400, $500 a person.
You guys are the official hospitality partner for the Tournament of Roses, Rose Bowl game for the 4th consecutive year. Tonight's game is a big game for you. When you look at one of these bowl games, and we talk about it, how there's so many bowl games, 34 bowl games, what do they mean for the local economy? Does it depend on where it is? Los Angeles is such a big city, so diverse, so much is going on. How big is the Tournament of Roses for that city's economy?
You know, the thing that's exciting about the Tournament of Roses is that, and especially during a BCS year, is that you've got an entire parade, which brings a tremendous amount of economic investment, and then you also have 2 football games spread out by about 5 days. So for us, building the corporate hospitality village, a few $100,000 goes into that. That's local vendors. I think it's quite a big deal for Pasadena and for Los Angeles.
So you're paying, people are paying anywhere from, you said, $300 to $700 a person, and you're saying that's held pretty steady. But I got to believe that your raw materials costs have gone up. We've seen cost of meat, things like that, increase. How do you work all that into the equation?
The costs are mostly a services cost. You've got people who need to put the tents up. You've got people that need to bring things in and carry them out. And you've also got people cooking the food. When you look at the whole budget, food tends to be a relatively modest part of it. And in many cases, we're able to get vendors who, because they enjoy the exposure that they get to our high-end visitors, Governor Bob Riley, Arnold Schwarzenegger may be there, that they'll actually come in for free. So we get a fair amount of vendors comping things to us.
Brendan, every time I'm in one of these tents, I see a lot of signage, whether it's local, whether it's national. How has the advertising been affected?
I can't speak specifically to the Rose Bowl's advertising. I know that sponsorship is a challenge. I think the parade is a big deal for them. So that probably has been impacted a little bit more than on the hospitality side, where the business of building relationships never really goes out of style. We like to think of it as a kind of a situation where you go into a recession and you kind of want to know who your partners are that you're really going to hunker down in the bunker with. And those are people that you would like to entertain in this way.
Well, do you use sponsors? For example, if you've got a Big Ten, and you're expecting thousands of people there, do you partner up with Constellation Brands, for example, to provide the wine, and they provide signage and things like that? Is that a part of your business?
We do. I believe at our Super Bowl party called Shine this year in Miami, we're going to have Bacardi as a major sponsor. Got a couple of cigar sponsors. Quite a few people are going to be coming in. So which
event brings in the most revenue for you that you pretty much base your whole year on?
It's not quite as clean cut as that, thankfully. We don't base our whole year on any one event. But what I will tell you is that the big events are BCS and Rose Bowl. The NCAA Final Four is a tremendous corporate event. I think the Masters is one of the most exciting corporate events because clients who host a party down there can actually bring multiple clients in over the course of the week. So they can take those expensive badges and recycle them across their whole client base. And then finally, the Super Bowl is tremendous. We'll also be doing a good World Cup business this year. I don't know how corporate it'll be, but fans are definitely headed to South Africa this year, and that's going to be really exciting.
That's cool.
Brendan, obviously the event's very important. I mean, with the Masters, the Super Bowl, you can set up a tent, people will come, they will be there. But for how much of your business is, let's do something differently at an event to attract people to come to the event that may not go ordinarily?
You know, our business is really about taking those corporate relationships and cementing them. So we don't necessarily stray too far from the formula. I think people are sort of valued and judged by the company they keep. So we do look to do some exciting things, bring in bands, have announcers to attract the kind of celebrities that people do like to see at these events. So we may have Denzel Washington this year. As I said, probably the governors of California and Alabama. We'll see some sports stars. Robert Horry will be there. Roger Staubach may make an appearance. Marcus Allen will be speaking. So people like to have some celebrities there, and then they like to talk business.
So how do they, if a company wants to sponsor an event like this, how do we find you? What's the best way to do it?
Yeah, people generally go to PrimeSport, and that's where they find us. You know, we kind of think of our business as a couple of different pieces. When people think about corporate hospitality, they often don't put it in the same sentence as advertising and marketing. But for a business that has a relatively small number of big relationships, corporate hospitality is generally more effective for them. You know, there's really, you think about it, it's 70 degrees in Pasadena today. So, you know, where would you like to go after you're done watching this show? Would it be to pick up your VIP parking pass, head down to the Rose Bowl, spend a few hours having cocktails with your biggest vendor who invited you to the BCS game? You know, that's the kind of experience that repairs relationships and builds them. There's just nothing like it, nothing like it. And for anyone out there who's actually been to one of these big events, possibly at the invitation of one of their vendors, I mean, you know, it makes the relationship.
Yeah, the answer to that question is yes. I would like to be picked up in my limo or get my parking pass and head down there. You're going to be working your butt off tonight.
You're in.
All right. I know you're going to be working hard tonight. Are you going to take 2 seconds to watch the game, or are you going to work all the way through it?
Listen, my head of procurement, who's responsible for buying all of our tickets, actually is a Texas alumni. So I'll be wearing some orange, sitting on the Texas side, and rooting for the Longhorns.
All right, good for you. Thanks, Brendan.
It's a tough job you have.
Yeah, right. Thanks,
Good luck
Brendan.
with it.
Have fun with it. Brendan Ross, CEO of PrimeSport Hospitality. Boy, it's big time. It's Super Bowl, things like the Masters, certainly tonight, National Championship game out at the Rose Bowl.
But National Finals rodeo, too. We didn't get to talk about the rodeo. These guys are the World Cup, All-Star game.
I've been to rodeo before.
You have?
Yeah, I have. I've covered it, actually, in the past. It's
have
a
you
lot of fun.
Have you ridden a bull?
No. Good Lord, no, I have not. Ridden a bull? What, are you kidding me?
Some
of the toughest men on earth, bull riders, though, no doubt.